When the Utah Jazz traded Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves for a boatload of draft picks, we knew a rebuild was coming. Then the second big domino fell when the Jazz traded Donovan Mitchell to the Cavaliers for Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and a bunch of draft picks. With the Jazz trading their two best players over the offseason, it looked like the Jazz were tanking and getting a head start on the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. Even though the Jazz looked like bottom feeders coming into the season, they're surprisingly one of the best teams in the NBA, currently with a 10-3 record, which puts them at the number 1 seed in the West and the second overall best record in the NBA. The Jazz rank top 10 in the league in both offensive and defensive rating, and it's not like they've just been beating up on bad teams. Many of these wins have come against very formidable opponents. They've defeated the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Grizzlies twice, and most recently the Hawks on the road, all very good teams. So how are they doing it? How is this young Utah Jazz team that was assembled over the offseason shocking the world? Let's talk about it. But before we continue, if you enjoy content like this, please drop a like on the video and hit that subscribe button for more dope NBA content. The biggest standout player on the Jazz this year has been Lauri Markkanen, and so far he's been playing like an all-star. As this video is being recorded, Lauri is coming off his best performance of the season, dropping a season-high 32 points on the Hawks. And it was this tough offensive board and putback that put Atlanta to bed at the end of the game. Through 12 games, he's averaging 22 points, 9 boards, and 3 assists per game on an efficient 52% field goal percentage. It's pretty rare you see a player make this big a leap in their 6th season. Back in Chicago and Cleveland, Lauri was more of a one-dimensional spot-up shooter, but now he's a super versatile scorer. His ability to score in the paint has improved by leaps and bounds. This season, Lauri is shooting an outstanding 75% within 5 feet of the basket. That number was at 63% in Cleveland last season. He's got a really nice handle for a player his size, which allows him to take his man off the bounce for strong finishes at the rim. He's also great in transition, where he likes to run the floor for fast break opportunities, and he can even get a rebound, take the ball coast to coast, and finish on the fast break. There's not many other 7-footers in the entire league that can do this. Another area of his game that's expanded in Utah is his post game. Lauri is very comfortable getting into his spots in the post, and at 7 feet tall, very few defenders in the league can bother his fadeaways. He's turned into an offensive juggernaut in Utah, and at this rate, he's not only on track to make his first All-Star team, but he should also be the top candidate for the Most Improved Player of the Year award as well. Another player on the Jazz having a career year is Jordan Clarkson. So far this season, Clarkson has been Utah's second leading scorer behind Lauri, averaging 18 points per game. Throughout the Donovan Mitchell years, Clarkson was mostly used as an off-the-bench spark plug, and he was even the 6th man of the year one season. But this year, he's taken a much bigger role in Utah's offense. He's an explosive, shifty guard, able to regularly break down defenders and get all the way to the rim. But what's really taken his game to the next level this season is the way he's shooting the ball from downtown. Clarkson is shooting a career-high 41% from deep, and he's doing it on a super high volume 8 attempts a game. He's become a very deadly pull-up 3-point shooter in particular. And another area of his game that's really improved is his playmaking, which is why his assist average has doubled this season. For most of his career, Clarkson was a score-first player, but this season he's doing a much better job of setting his teammates up for easy baskets. Between Jordan and Lauri, the Jazz have a great 1-2 punch, but this is a deep roster with plenty of guys that are very good offensive players. A slept-on addition of the Jazz over the offseason was Colin Sexton. Sexton has always been a certified bucket. In fact, he averaged 24 points per game one year in Cleveland, but there was a lot of question marks with him coming into the season since he was coming off a torn ACL. So far this year, Colin has been excellent, and he's essentially taken Jordan Clarkson's old role on the team as an instant offense player off the bench. On the season, he's averaging 14 points per game on efficient 46% shooting. Colin can create his own shot off the bounce extremely well, and he could score the ball efficiently on all 3 levels. An absolute killer, Colin is another guy that can get scorching hot at any given moment and flat out take over games. As he gets more comfortable in his role, he'll have plenty of games where he delivers 25 or 30 points off the bench. Another huge part of the Jazz success has been Michael Conley. Conley has been a very steady player for the Jazz at the point guard position this year, averaging 12 points and 7 assists per game. His ability to distribute the ball is a huge part of the Jazz offense, whether it's setting up the roll man out of the pick and roll, dishing the ball out to open players on his drives to the rim, or finding guys in transition. He's been one of the best playmakers in the league this season, and Conley is just enough of a scoring threat that it forces the defense to focus on him so he can set his guys up. Coming out of pick and rolls, Conley is a knockdown pull-up mid-range shooter, and he's got a great float game on his drives to the rim. And he's been absolutely lights out from downtown, hitting over 40% from deep. Despite being in his 16th season in the NBA, the veteran floor general has been a huge part of Utah's early season success. Another huge offensive weapon for the Jazz this season has been sharpshooter Malik Beasley. He was very impressive in Utah's recent win over Atlanta, where he knocked down 6 3-pointers and dropped 18 points to help Utah get the nice road win. Malik Beasley was a sneaky good pickup in the Rudy Gobert trade because in this move, the Jazz got back a player who's low-key been one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA for years now. Since the 2018 to 2019 season, Beasley has shot over 39% from deep, and that's on a high volume 8 attempts a game. The Jazz tend to get him open for 3 using handoffs and screens, and he also gets plenty of open looks from his teammates' playmaking. He's another dangerous weapon in the Jazz offense that can take over games with his hot shooting. Now we have to give some credit to Jazz starting center Kelly Olynyk because his contributions on both ends of the floor is a big part of the Jazz success. Olynyk is shooting an unreal 57% from deep, and that hot shooting from downtown, it tends to pull opposing bigs out of the paint and open up driving lanes for his teammates. Olynyk also contributes on offense as a finisher and unselfish passer. And on the defensive end, Olynyk will always be limited as a rim protector, but he's got great hands and anticipation skills, which allows him to regularly get steals and deflections. Olynyk has been a reserve big for most of his career, but on the Jazz, he surprisingly turned into a very good starting center. While the Jazz main core of players have been excellent, their second unit is also a huge part of their success. On the season, the Jazz lead the entire NBA in bench points per game. We already discussed Colin Sexton's steady scoring off the bench, but with the solid veteran play of Rudy Gay, the shot blocking and rebounding of rookie Walker Kessler, and with Talen Horton-Tucker, the Jazz have a second unit that's regularly outscoring other teams' benches. Overall, the Jazz have themselves a very talented and deep team. The question now is, how sustainable is Utah's high level of play? While the Jazz are one of the best teams in the NBA right now, it's still pretty early. The Washington Wizards also started off last year with a 10-3 record, but ended up winning just 35 games. I don't know if Utah will be this dominant all season long, but I do think that there are some indicators that Utah will have a winning season. The fact that the Jazz are getting quality wins against top competition and doing it all the road helps to legitimize what Utah is doing early in the year. Whether they maintain this depends on whether Lauri can keep up this high level of play, and with his diverse offensive skill set and with his 3-point shot yet to really take off, there is reason to think that he's going to be a tough cover all season long. With how well Utah is playing, you also have to wonder if the front office wants to maintain this level of play. Going into the season, Danny Ainge was certainly looking to tank, but with Utah playing this well, do they shift their rebuild plan and retool around Lauri? Or do they still look to tear it down and get a high pick in the draft? The good news is that Lauri is on a cheap deal for the next 3 seasons, which could help Utah to build around him. Only time will tell. But now I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that what Utah is doing is sustainable, and should Utah even want to sustain it? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it and hit that subscribe button for more dope NBA content just like this.